Amy deliberately cut off her own hair, carefully packed it in a bag, then changed her makeup. She sprayed disinfectant on the floor to erase any traces of her presence, and finally grabbed a hammer and violently hit herself with it. Her actions were all part of a scheme to frame her husband Nick for her murder. 6 months prior, Amy had started hatching an elaborate plan. First, she maxed out her husband's credit cards, purchasing various expensive luxury items to create the illusion that Nick was facing a financial crisis. Then she took out a high-value life insurance policy on herself, with Nick as the beneficiary. Amy also deliberately befriended her pregnant neighbor, frequently complaining to her about Nick's alleged domestic abuse. She invited the neighbor over and collected her urine sample from the toilet to prove that she herself was pregnant. With everything in place, on their wedding anniversary, Amy waited for Nick to leave the house before staging the crime scene. To ensure her plan was foolproof, she frantically wrote 300 diary entries, spinning a tale portraying her husband as a womanizing scumbag and herself as a long-suffering victim of abuse. The story seemed both realistic and brutal. She then placed the diary in the oven, burning it just enough to make it appear as if Nick had tried to destroy evidence, deliberately leaving a trail of clues for the police. With that, she set the perfect frame-up in motion and vanished without a trace. When Nick returned home to find the house empty and the living room coffee table overturned, his first instinct was that his wife had been kidnapped. However, the police suspected that Nick had murdered her. During the investigation, the police discovered that Amy was a well-known writer. They also found the partially burned diary, and just as Amy had anticipated, they gradually uncovered many clues that pointed to Nick as the prime suspect in his wife's murder. To maintain his public image, Nick held a prayer vigil for his wife that evening. Suddenly, the neighbor appeared, holding her child and loudly denouncing Nick as a scumbag who had abused his pregnant wife. When questioned by the police, Nick claimed not to know the neighbor, but the officers produced intimate photos of Amy and the neighbor together. They also presented records of Nick's credit card debt, detailing the various luxury items he had purchased. Most importantly, they revealed that Nick was the beneficiary of Amy's life insurance policy. All the evidence pointed to one conclusion: Nick had murdered his pregnant wife.